We are with Donald Chapman Neilan, born on July 2nd, 1926. Don served in the United States Navy during World War II. His highest rank was 3rd Class Petty Officer. It is May 25th, 2017, and we are at the Veterans Memorial on Merritt Island. I am James Gray with MissionFOTO. Also present is a friend, Dolores Davey, and Nancy Schumann of MissionFOTO. This interview is being conducted on behalf of the Veterans History Project for the Library of Congress. Good morning, Don.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Good.
You arrived safely from down south, I guess?
Yes, we had a couple of close calls.
No serious bumps in the road?
Just one, I think.
Now, did you come by the Banana River, or did you go out into the ocean in that submarine of yours?
No, we came up by Route 1.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Veterans Museum.
Thank you.
To start with, you were born in 1926. Tell me where that was and who was responsible for that.
That was in Groton, Connecticut, and responsible for that was my mother and father.
And who were they?
Well, they were Native American, not Native American, but I mean just natives of Connecticut, both of them. And it was during the Depression times, though, and those were bad times.
Yeah. What was your home life like? You had brothers and sisters, I presume?
I had 2 brothers.
And older, younger?
I had an older one and a younger one, and the older one was my mother. All my life I looked up to him.
I see. Your 2 brothers, are they still alive?
No, just there isn't either one of them is alive now. No.
I see.
I'm the oldest now. I was the middle one then, but now I'm the oldest.
Yeah. What was family life like for you growing up?
It was good, and you know, being young, I think that you don't realize the hardships that were there, and I felt I was from a small town, and everyone was the same in there, so there was no rivalry or jealousy of that. But we just had good times as children.
Those
but
are
I
good.
think parents had it tough.
Yeah, that was a good era in some ways.
Yeah,
aside from the Depression.
But actually, there wasn't many people working. You know, I can remember that.
Yeah. What did your father do?
Well, first he went into the submarine base as a chauffeur, they say, truck driver. Mm-hmm. And then he got into the hoist and portable, and he was a crane operator, and he got to be supervisor, and that was a big deal. Yeah. That was later on, you know. He also had an orchestra, about a 10-piece orchestra, that probably helped us get by those times. But usually, if you're a musician, you can't make it. But in those days, every little bit helped, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was his instrument?
He played the drums.
No.
Yes.
You're being interviewed by a drummer this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. You heard about the 2 musicians and a drummer that walked into a bar? You have to think about that one for a while. So Mom, she's busy raising 4 boys, you 3 young ones, and Dad. Tell me about your mom.
Oh, she was just a housewife. Not just a housewife, but she provided a good home for us.
Yeah.
She was a good mother.
Yeah, good for you guys. Yeah.
Very fortunate.
Yes, sir. All right, you've gone through high school.
Yes.
What year did you graduate?
44.
44. So 1944, things are kind of hectic on the other side of the world, were they not?
Yes, they were.
Yeah. After graduation, somehow or other, I understand you made your way into the Navy. Tell us how that happened.
Well, actually, if your marks were up then and you was a senior, you could join some of the service. So there were 7 of us that decided to join the Navy, and we went down in New Haven and we enlisted. And if your marks were up, you was off to boot camp, and we even carried our little clothing bag with us and thinking we was going to go to boot camp. But this was the last V6 program that they didn't actually take you out of class. So they said, go back and finish school and we'll call you. So we went back and they called us 2 days after graduation. They called us, and the 7 of us went into boot camp at Sampson, New York.
Yeah. So that was May, June. Yeah.
June.
Okay, of 44. So into boot camp. Was that a shock for you?
No, I kind of liked it as a military, and I was always leaned towards the military. My father was in the Navy, and he was a submarine sailor too. He was on the S-51 for a while, and he was off it for about 3 or 4 months when the accident happened. The city of Rome, which was an Italian tanker, cut it in half, and there was only 2 survivors. And I can remember being in grammar school at that time, and there was 3 or 4 of my classmates, and well, say all of them.
Yeah. Right.
So that took you back a little, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We have to reveal the truth. The truth is much more important than that. Okay, describe boot camp for me. Your highs, your lows.
Well, it was just big when they broke up the 7 of us, and there was 2 other fellows in my boot camp too, so I knew somebody and we went through it together. But in the matter of a couple of 3 days, we knew most everyone there, and there was just a marching and a drilling, and they went through all the particulars and to train. There'd been so many of them, one group of men after another, so it was kind of old hat to the supervisors who just seemed to take us as another group.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was good.
All right. You obviously made your way through that basic training period.
Yes.
You went into your advanced training at that point.
Oh no, I let us out of boot camp. I volunteered for submarine duty, and I went back to Sampson, New York, and then they called me, and I went right back to the sub base in Groton, Connecticut, my hometown. And people would say, "Gosh, you talk funny. Where are you from?" And I would say, "Connecticut." And say, "Are you anywhere near the base?" I says, "My hometown is 6 miles from the main gate." And so you would think that, I volunteered for submarines just to get home, but that wasn't the idea of it at all. But that's where I started. My advanced training was at the submarine base.
You're walking in your dad's footsteps, in a way, aren't you?
I didn't have his talent.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
All right, you're at Groton. Had you been on a submarine prior to that, ever?
No, I can't say that I had. I don't think I ever was on a submarine. But
You didn't know what to expect then?
Yes, I did, because we were a submarine town, and everybody was, we were going up and down the river. We knew all the boats. The boats used to have a number on them then until the war, and then the numbers went off, and you didn't know. We could always tell what boat was in and what boat was out, though. But but the training was a little bit different for me. there I knew that we had to go through the survival tank. That was 100 foot of water, and we had to go at different levels. They started out at 50-foot level, and we went 75 and then went 100, and we come up in what we call the mumps and long. And you go in these little side compartments with about 10 or 15 fellas, and they filled it up to your neck with water, and then you ducked out and you grabbed a line and you held it with your hands and your feet and would count 10 when you hit a ball just to get decompression. And I would get curious. I'd look over and here's a chief, because he's got a clip on his nose. He's treading water and patting you on your fanny if you're not just right, you know, and he'd probably let 5 guys go before he'd duck in and take a breath, you know. So that was all free swimming, so that was good. And we went to many of these acoustic rooms that we just talked about as being in air, and that struck me as an eerie feeling, because you went out on a springboard and there was all these stalactites coming up and down to take acoustic noises up, and then it was kind of airy, but that was just part of some of the training we went through.
Yeah, I see.
And then we went out on the school boats, and 4 or 5 times, you know. Those were O-boats, and they were 1919.
What was the name of the boat?
O-boats, O-0. There was O-boats and R-boats and S-boats, but the O-boats were the school boats, and they were really antiquated. They had just A and B event, and they rode the Kingstons, and it was a thrill going out on them. So.
How many times? What kind of a journey was that? How long were you on an O-boat then?
On the O-boats, we'd just go out for training for a day, and then we'd come back, and then we'd go to another source of training. We'd go back, and then we took some PCOs, that prospective commanding officers, and we'd be on their boats too and take a couple of trips with those. But we'd just be used to going up and down and having pressure in the boat. That's all.
See, the question I was looking for, did the O-boat, did you dive in the O-boat?
Yes, that was the idea of getting your dove and
acclimation.
Put the pressure in the boat, yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever have any problems with any of that?
No.
You were natural.
Yes, I didn't have any claustrophobic thing there.
Now, I have to ask this question. How tall are you?
I was 6'3" then.
And how many times did you hit your head on one of these O-boats?
Oh, many times. The O-boats were really antiquated, and but the fleet types, people ask that question all the time, and there's a lot of fellows bigger than I were in submarines, but the fleet type boats were I would say, really nice. Compared to the S boats and R boats.
But you learned eventually to duck a little bit when you're doing passages.
Yes, yeah, you'd have to one compartment to another.
That's right.
The O-boats didn't have many compartments, so you know.
I see. So not many doors to deal with, hatches, as it were. How long did your training last then?
I don't know, I think it was 16 weeks or something like that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. 4 months. Yeah, quite a while.
And then right from there, and then went into diesel boat. I took diesel training with that submarine training.
Mm-hmm. At that point in time, had they picked out what your job was going to be? Did you know what it was going to be?
Yes, after I went to diesel school, I'd be working on the diesel boats. And hopefully have a fleet type boat.
Yeah. What was your job?
Well, the job was be like changing injectors and things like that. But I'll have to be truthful with you. A lot of my job after that, they trained me for everything, tearing the engines down and everything. But I didn't get involved with many engine jobs when I was at sea, we'll say.
So you're trained to tear a diesel engine down,
Yeah,
clean those injectors,
yeah.
and they never used you for that?
Well, yes, they did. I can't say they haven't, but I mean, being then, I was only a fireman second, and I'm referring back to when I was in a relief crew. When the boats come in, and they turn them over to us, and I wasn't rated at that time. And so when they say cleaning the boat up, that's about what I was doing, is in the bilges and cleaning down and wiping things down.
Sure.
But I did carry some regular pistons up with the rods over my shoulder, up the after battery hatches on a lot of boats.
Yeah.
But it was still it was an experience. Yeah.
There was always something to clean on a boat,
Yeah, yes.
isn't there? Let's see, four months of submarine training, 2 months of basic. We're now down to December or January,
Yes, I'd say that.
somewhere in there, that you are getting your first duty assignment.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well,
What happened there?
Well, my first, oh, you mean duty, that was going to school? No, after I got out of school, they sent me to the sub base at Mare Island, California.
Okay.
Okay, I went across there, and when I was there, I mess cooked for the first job they gave me there was a mess cook for the base, you know. Get up early in the morning and prepare the breakfast for the guys. They did that to a lot of new men, and what they didn't know what to do with right away. You was a mess cook, you know.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden there was a quick change, and I was in S-boats in Panama, which were halter-type boats. During the start of the war, they protected the coastline and had duty like that. They were getting new boats, and they were making them pretty fast, and our productivity was fantastic. With submarines, they were really making them. They were going down the ways in a fast manner, and they had a complete crew made up of about 70 people when they come into Mare Island. And when they come in, they immediately put me in that crew. And I think that was the start of our 262. And so really my first duty was I was shipped out on an Army transport. It was called the Evangeline. And that was an Army boat, an Army ship. And it was just for troops. And so they put us with me, they put the 78 guys, submarine people, on the Evangeline, and with about 1,000 of those soldiers, and we were shipped out. We went right out underneath the Golden Gate Bridge and said goodbye to the States there. So actually, other than my starting, mess cooking and Mare Island, that was cut short, and we went. I started to travel then. So. Okay, I was talking about my mess cooking duties being interrupted by this submarine crew from Panama, and I joined them, and we were put on an Army transport, the Evangeline, and we went to sea right out through underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. And my next port of call was at Pearl Harbor. So I went in there, and it was quite a few years after the bombing, but there was still quite evident of Pearl Harbor being messed up with. Still had a lot of boats sunk in there. And I was in there for 2 or 3 days, and then we started to go underway again. And I'm still talking about my trip on the Evangeline, and it was off of Palau that I first saw my first part of being in the war. Was we had a submarine attack, and we had general quarters, and we were assigned to our quarters, and we just held the communication compartment, and someone reported 2 fish in the water, And so everyone, the submarine fellows, a quarter of the torpedo men, they started counting seconds because they were familiar with that. And but that was the only event that I had of the war, and I pursued it on and into the Philippines, and we come into a distribution area. There was just ship after ship after ship in there, and there was unloading cargo, and there was tanks and trucks and soldiers and activity going on there all the time. And so how we was ever going to find out what we was going to do next, I thought it would be forever, you know, because what are we going to do here? For the 2 days we was just nothing to do. But on the third day they had a USO show come in, and I think it was Oklahoma. And we sat up all on the side of the boxes in there. We seen that, all that. And then they said to report down to an LSI, that's a landing ship infantry, with the 2 little ramps going down the side, and the inside had a cargo for material. And there I could inject, I'd like to inject something funny here now, because this was the funniest thing that happened to me in the Navy. And this, we didn't, when we went on the LSI there, when you went into the head, the men's room there, and I hope I can tell you what this is like. They would have a trough that was probably like you cut a boiler, a 36-inch boiler, in half, and they extended it down the whole port side of the boat. And on the boat they had the little toilet seats, so right on down, let's say we had 12 of them, you know. And then LSI, they only had about 7 guys in ship's company. That's all they had on to run the boat. So I guess they were amused by this at times. Whenever they got a crew of guys like us on there, they had their fun. Because this trough now was running all the time. The water was being put on the forward end like a fire hose, and it was rushing down there and just being discharged like a toilet that's flushed all the time. The fellas didn't like that, including myself, so I kind of hung back. But when they got about 10 guys on those stools, one of them in ship's company went up there, we crushed up a bunch of paper, he lit it, you know. And they threw it down, that water went down underneath there, and all these guys would pop up, pop, right in the row. Yes. So that was my funniest experience I did. And I never forgot that. So. And they got us up to Manila, and Manila was kind of a shallow water harbor, and I saw a lot of ships in there that were sunk, and they were all still above the water. And the next day we went into Subic, and that was a deep port, and there I saw the USS Antietam, was submarine 10AS-24, and she had about 7 or 8 boats tied up on each side of her. And that's the mothership. They took care of the submarines. And so when I went on there, that's where I went in, and I reported to the AS-24, and they gave us, the relief crew, living compartments there. So we stayed on the Antietam, and when the boats come in that we took care of, then we'd be assigned to that boat, you know. And when the boats come in, if they had any trouble with their acoustic or making noise or something like that, we'd clear that up. We had a sound boat that run right out with us, and we did a good job taking care of those things.
The mechanics of it.
Yes.
Of the
and then we had returned. Antietam had made a quick run up to, as the war was progressing up along, they took a run up to Subic, and that's where they were establishing the submarine base there, but for some reason they had to take a run back down to Fremantle and Perth, Australia, and that's, I was still berthed on the Antietam then, and because there was work to be done in Australia, and so I went down there with them, and that was just a wonderful country and a wonderful time. So we had a couple months there, and then we come back up to Subic and resumed that, and then probably about 2 or 3 more months the war was over. I was in Subic when the war was over.
Yeah, and middle of 45.
Yeah.
This boat that you were on, you're calling it the Antietam?
The Antietam was a submarine tender.
Yes.
And they did everything. They tore the engines down. They brought the pistons up rods and connecting rods and everything. And they have machine shops there, and they did everything there. And all the torpedoes were checked out, and any work done there. And they took care of loading the right torpedoes for the next run. And so the Antietam did a submarine tender did just about everything. As it would a main. As it would a submarine base, you know, that was floating. Sure. Yeah. And we was way right, so we might have well been 50 miles from shore, because we never got ashore, you know, except to a rest camp there for playing ball and things like that.
Yeah. At any one time there, how many problem vessels, how many problem submarines had come up to the mothership? At one time, what did you see?
Well, 12 or 13.
That many?
That many, yeah.
Having problems?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and we took them after they made a war patrol. They would come in there and they would send a crew, the submarines crew, to a rest camp. And they put them in a rest camp in Subic. That wasn't much of a rest camp, but when they put them in a rest camp in Australia, that was altogether different.
Much better, huh?
Yes.
So you did get to see that in
yes, that was Australia was a great country too.
Yeah.
They had all these Model A Fords running around with a great big boiler on the back, probably 6 foot tall, and they had they were burning charcoal.
Steam driven?
No, they would capture the fumes there, and they had like a vacuum pump on it, and they brought it in, and then they controlled it with a regular gas pedal, and they were firing gas, the same as gasoline.
Interesting.
And there was no men in Australia at all. They were during the Mediterranean problem. Gosh, they were sending troop ships there, and they were being recaptured in the Blitzkrieg, and they was just old people, young boys and girls. That was all it was, yeah.
Yeah. You'll have to brief me geographically here. Where is Subic Bay?
Subic Bay was in the Philippine Islands. It was just north of Manila, probably 80, 90 miles north, or maybe more.
You say you seldom got ashore there.
I didn't. We never got ashore there. When the LSI bothered us there, when we got ashore, it was to the rest camp, because it was what they called a war zone. Not that they were fighting there, but it was that we was right on the edge of it. We were brought up to it as far north as they wanted to go. So that was a war zone, and unless you had to be there, you didn't have any liberty.
This is well before the Japanese surrendered.
Yeah.
This is, where are we, April,
well,
March,
it
April?
was long before it was still, it was still, I don't think Luzon was cleared for months after that things quieted down, but they were still in there having small breakouts, I guess.
Yeah. You were well aware of the fighting was still going on.
Yeah, but we never come into the bay at all. Probably over a Zigzag Pass was most of our protection. There was a big volcano there.
Yeah.
Right in Subic.
So you never saw it, nor did you hear any of it then?
I heard some firing there sometimes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Still, must have been tension on board among the crew.
To be truthful, no, I felt.
You were comfortable.
It wasn't put under the gun, that's all.
Yeah.
And then even the attacker, when we was attacked, well, can this be a drill or this? And I got the newspaper there, I brought about that there. Everybody blew it up, you know. was a big deal, but it wasn't that a big deal. But we were fired upon anyway. So,
Yeah.
but
Aside from bathroom facilities there aboard,
yeah.
what was your bunk? What was the food like? You recall any?
Well, submarines always ate better, you know. But many of the time we'd stay on the boats if they still had any supply of food left. But we could have mess call right there on the canteen. So
Good food?
it was good, yes. Better than what they had on, you know, the Marines had, I think.
Yes, of course.
That's what I say. I didn't go through any of the hardships that I know my fellow man had been going through.
Yeah. Did you ever, in the work on these boats that are coming in for repair, there must have been damage caused by enemy fire, I would assume?
On some of them, but I didn't have the experience to do that. On one of the, I won't even name the name of the boat, they collided with an enemy ship. Actually, it was so close, and the bow was bent right around. And that was one of the best repair jobs that they did, because the relief crew was able to replace that forward tank. That bow buoyancy tank is located right at the bow of the boat, so that was a tremendous job that they did. I know Cromwell gave up his life. He's the one that said clear the bridge when they took it down, because they ran into this other vessel, damaged it, and he was shot, and on this way down he said clear the bridge, and so they cleared it and they left him up there.
I see.
They got a Cromwell Hall, got the base named after him, so he's got some recognition too.
You met some heroes in there too, then.
I think any of the boats, they were all heroes.
Yeah. Is that the toughest role, do you think, from your perspective? Is that the toughest role in wartime, is submarine duty?
Well, it's classed as the most dangerous. They lost 52 boats.
During World War II?
And they lost...
That was Atlantic and Pacific?
Atlantic and Pacific. They only lost a few in the Atlantic. Most of it was in the Pacific.
South Pacific.
And that
52 boats?
52 boats. And there was 30... no. I can't... 6,800 and some.
So you're saying the crew included, of course, went down with the vessel.
Yeah. They didn't have many, if a boat was lost, there wasn't many survivors of the boat. So, although there were a few, they had some in the rest camp, and it's a silent service. You never knew many stories about it, you know, but I know that one of the, not a favorite story, but if we got time and everything like that.
Yeah, let's hear it.
The Squalus was sunk by an accident, you know, prior to the war. And it was down there, and it was the first time they ever used a rescue diving belt to rescue the people. And they rescued 29 of the people on there. And they eventually rose the boat, and they changed the name to the Sailfish. And the Sailfish had another boat that was a sister ship when it was before they was down there. They picked up their buoy. But during the war, to make a long story short, the sister ship that of the Squalus, was now the Sailfish, was on one of the ships going back to Japan, because this ship had sunk that particular boat that I didn't mention. And so sailfish then torpedoed that boat was going back. And it was unfortunate that that was the crew of the boat that worked on them to save them, you know, at the time. They had a change of probably personnel in the boat by that time, but that's one of kind of the stories that was unique. So,
aboard the submarine,
Yeah.
how large a complement, how many men in the crew?
it was usually
Typically.
98 or something like that, we thought, just under 100. Because the bigger boats, the normal carried more men than that, but...
Including the officers?
Officers, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, almost 100.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to Australia. You tweaked my curiosity there. What did you find so interesting or fun there? What
We
was...
we learned to count their money.
I'm sorry, start again, what?
We learned to count their money. We dated Aussie lassies. They were Sheilas, so there was no, you didn't call them girls or women or anything, they were Sheilas.
Yeah.
I just remember that. We dated Sheilas, no rugged duty here, so that's what we were doing. And it was good.
Where are you in Australia?
Fremantle and Perth, there was two cities side by side, and it's the far western of Australia, way down in the southwestern corner of Australia.
Southwest corner.
Yeah.
As far away from the battle as possible.
But the people of Australia love you because we saved them. They actually believe we saved them from being invaded by the Japanese. They were coming down so fast. And when we got to Java, we had a hard time there, but they slowed them down enough to stop the invasion of Australia, because that was another place they were going to go.
Yeah.
And they could have gone right through. It's a big country, but there's nothing inside, in the backland there.
Yeah, the outback.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were a hero there in Australia as well.
Oh no, I wasn't a hero.
Come on, Don, tell us the truth.
No, I enjoyed Australia.
Did you have to wear your uniform or your fatigues?
You had to mention my uniform, didn't you?
Yes.
I deliberately skipped that too, because that's all I tell people. What I did when I got out of boot camp, I was a Seaman second, 2 little stripes on my wrist, you know.
Yes.
And the first thing I did when I saved up my first paycheck, I had to have a couple of paychecks, I bought a set of tailor-made blues.
So you were...
Aberdeen tailor-made blues. Couldn't wear them during inspection, but they were fantastic. I had a zipper down the side, you know, and they fit nice, and I had the big bell bottoms on it, and I really loved that uniform, and I loved to wear it. Have you ever heard that before?
Dolores is sitting here. Dolores is a friend of yours?
Yes.
Okay. How much of a friend?
Oh, I've known her since '82.
I
So
see.
she's a good friend.
Good. Well, I'm still going to dwell on Australia here for a minute.
Okay.
We got the time, and I'm going to try and embarrass you if I can.
Okay.
The least
I hope I can embarrass you.
the least I can do for a Navy man.
Yeah.
You would put on your uniform, and well, in front of that, I have to say, you're 91?
90.
90. You're going to be 91.
91 in July, yes.
Sir, still at 90, you're a very handsome fellow. You just have
I don't believe that.
You have to accept that.
I shave myself every day, so you can say everything you want. I'm not. So,
As a handsome fellow in your gabardine dress blues on the street
Yeah.
in Perth,
yeah.
I would imagine the ladies are following you.
Not just me. Like I started to tell you, they loved us anyway, you know, what we had done. But there wasn't any men there at all to speak of, you know. And so we were in demand, you might say. But there's a lot of stories come out of there too. I think a lot of people from that area, when Crete was off of Greece there, was invaded. I mean, I think they said they had 3 troop ships of Australians pulling in there to disembark to save the island. But the Germans had a blitzkrieg, bang, they took it over in a day or two. And so they had to march right off as POWs, you know. Thousands and thousands of people were just taken right out of the towns. And that place wasn't that so heavily populated, you know. So when I say they didn't have any men there, you know, they did have a limey tender in there for a while, so we competed with the English submarine sailor. Yeah. But there was just so many girls there and they were, and it's amazing. I just got out of high school, you know, and you're doing all the modern dances and then going to the USOs in town here, and then go all the way out there to Australia, and you're just sitting there and you see a little lady, Sheila, bouncing up and down, you know, so you ask her to dance. And it was like you went to high school with her. If I fell down, she would have fallen down, you know. She was so, they were a lot of good dancers there.
Have you been back to Australia since?
No, and I always said I was.
Yeah.
My brother, no, he said he probably had similar experiences in New Zealand, but he said that he was always going to go back to New Zealand, and he did. He brought his wife back there. You know? But I never did. I wasn't much for traveling, but I often would have liked to go into that.
Well, we're gonna move ahead here.
Okay.
Somewhere in there, you what we know as ETS, estimated termination of service. You left the Navy. When was that?
Well, that was just to go ahead then when the war was over. And then the relief crews were broken up. They took me on as ship's company in the Antietam, and I brought that boat back to Groton, Connecticut. And I put and I put the boat out of commission. So how could you ask for anything?
When you saw it coming up on the horizon there, what did you feel like? You're looking at home now. You're looking at really home.
When I pulled into New London on the State Pier, and I hadn't seen my brother, and he joined and went to. He never even got boot camp in, and he went to. He was in the Navy, and they transferred him to. Camp Lejeune in California, and they sent him over the seas, and he went to New Zealand, and when he was in New Zealand he'd go over and invade an island, come back, and then go invade another one, and he never got home.
What was his name?
Harry.
Harry?
Yeah. He was on the dock waiting. Some guy come down to the fire room and said, "Hey, Neilan, there's a guy up there, looks just like you on the pier." So I come up there and I look down, and I mother-in-law over there, and he was it.
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I told you he was my martyr because he was. When I was growing up, he would take me with him, and I knew more, just as many people in his class in school as I did my own. And he took me to the Boy Scouts where I wasn't old enough to go. And he took me to dances and high school dances, and I was in grammar school. And the girls used to say, "What school do you go to?" And I used to, like, bitch, change my voice. And so that's why I love the guy so much.
Yeah, I understand. Hard to let go.
Yeah. See, brothers, I hear other brothers, they fight with one another, you know. He was good.
He loved his baby brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think many guys break down on you, do you? Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Because I could just see him now. When I come back, he was right there.
We have to move on.
Okay.
I want to hear about you coming home, back to the house. Your mom and dad are still there.
Yeah, I'm into that.
What was that like? You saw
Good.
them.
They were glad to see me. And,
Did you get a hug and a kiss?
oh, yeah. And my father kept up with me, though. He worked at the base, and of course there was sense that you never knew where other people didn't know where their children were or anything like that. But he knew. He kept track of me, so he knew where I was.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't. When I come back, I just put my name in for the telephone company. And,
You're now 20 years old?
20.
20, okay.
Yeah.
So you applied at the telephone company?
Yeah, I applied for the telephone, because that's where my brother worked.
I see.
And he was a lineman, and there was one I wanted to do. I wanted to be a lineman too, like he was.
You didn't need a ladder.
Oh, yeah, we climbed. So, but it was a little while getting in. But he gave up a job at the electric boat company. He was married and had a baby, and he gave that job up to go to work for the telephone company. Less than $19 a week he lost, you know, but he wanted to do that, so.
Yeah.
And then when I got out of the Navy, even the papers there, my discharge papers, I said I wanted to go to be a telephone man, you know.
So you went to work for Ma Bell, I presume.
Yeah, a wonderful company.
What was your job? What did you do?
I started as a lineman.
Yeah, you're up in the air, yeah.
And they were just so good to me, the company was.
How long were you with them?
36 years. So.
Congratulations.
I might have been there longer, but they sent me to Florida for counseling on the DOJ case. And I was supposed to be in Florida, but they sent me to Washington every week for about 2 years. I got my wife put me on a plane and picked me up Friday night and put me back on Sunday. First they offered me the job. They wanted me to go to Washington, and Mary Lou didn't want that, and but about 2 or 3 weeks later they come back and they said, how'd you like to go to Orlando, Florida, Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney.
Now I've got to ask.
The only thing is, they wanted me back up there, so I commuted to Washington for a couple of years.
Now I have to ask you, you come home from the military, you met Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Somewhere in here you got married then?
Yeah.
And this was to?
Mary Lou.
Mary Lou.
Yes.
Had you known her prior?
No, it was a quick. I met her for I went with her for about a year. I met her at a dance at Ocean Beach.
I see.
And we went and danced and regular. And she had a bad childhood and everything else. She had a tough life, and I had such a good life. I probably shared it with her, and so we got married.
How long were you married?
I was married 63 years together.
Congratulations. You've lost Mary Lou, I presume. Yeah. And that's been quite a while ago.
Yeah, that's 6 years ago.
6, yeah. We're coming down to the wire here. I want to get everything in I possibly can. From your experience, having been through 3 years of seeing the war, certainly, been involved in it for, it sounds like a day there.
Yeah, I felt that way because some of my shipmates, guys I joined the Navy with, they went to Texas and they stayed there for the whole war, and I would think that that wouldn't be palatable for me.
I want you to tell me what is your perspective? You've been around 91 years. What is your perspective of what you saw, what you did in that era of World War II compared to today, our society, our country, the government, the kind of place we are today? What is your perspective of all that?
Well, I think it's, I'm unhappy with the way the government has been going, you know, because I was with a part of the lucky generation, you might say, and I appreciate that. I really do.
We had a fellow in the other day who had his cap on. Yeah, I see you have a cap.
Yeah.
I'll see how you look in your cap.
I'm gonna get a jaunty.
He had a cap on that said, "The greatest generation." He was a World War II vet.
Yeah.
What's your interpretation of that?
Well, I was a part of a group of people that really cared about the country I was living in. They provided me with a lot of respect for the military and for a government. I do, whether I like them or not. And I don't have much luck voting for the winner, you know. But until lately. But no, I get discouraged with the way things are running. But and we have people where they have a genuine concern for things, and it seems like their heads can be turned so quickly that they just go in and they march with the rest of the group, you know.
Let's say I assembled a couple of hundred youngsters here today. High schoolers, college people. What would be the one thing you would offer to them? What would you say to them today?
You know, they have so much potential. They have, and you say, oh, the kids aren't like I was a kid. They're so much better, you know. They really are. I go to all the basketball and football games, and you know, I hear the people my age saying, oh, when we was here, we did this, we did that. When I played basketball, I could only jump that high, you know. And then I look at these kids and they're jumping 40-some inches. And so, okay, that's the potential of jumping, but they have so many other potentials that are good, outstanding, better than what the people had, the generation before them. And there are still so many good ones, you know.
Yeah. Don, we didn't ask you about your children. You had children?
Yes.
Tell us quickly about that.
Well, I got a girl, a daughter that looks after me, and I got a boy that I have trouble with. And
How old are they today?
They're in the you know, 50 and 58 and 60, 62.
What do they do?
Well, my daughter's retired, and my boy, I understand, is just retired too.
I see. You have grandchildren?
Yes, I got 4 of those. And you know, then you see, I don't know how they learn so much, but they're pretty smart. But they've got their little computers, you know, in their hand all the time. And I've deliberately stayed away from that, but.
Offer us here in the last couple of minutes how to live your life. You lived a good one.
Yes.
How did you manage that?
As the twig is grown, so grows the tree. If the twig is bent, so grows the tree. So am I a family. Yep.
You think families...
Very fortunate I was. I'm still fortunate today. I tell people I cannot believe how lucky I am, you know. And then you could say I've had some bad times. I've been through situations, but if it wasn't for, I know the situations could have destroyed me, but I've survived them, and I have no regrets from whatever happened.
Well, we're going to have to close up here.
Yeah.
I want to take the time to thank you for coming today and letting us interview you and putting you on tape. Second, I want to thank you for your service to the country.
Thank you. I'm glad to do it.
I love this place, and I appreciate people like you. Your honor is outstanding, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you. It's a lot different than I thought it was going to be. I mean, and I don't even know whether it's here or whether I was going to do it or not, but it was, friends of mine just talked to me and said that we ought to go up there and see what it's like, you know.
I'm glad you did.
I, for one, I have to thank you for calling me 7 times to get this all straightened out.
Well, first I heard from some friends that I didn't make the meeting, you know, and I got everything written down, so.
It was my fault,
Yeah.
my fault, and I apologize to you.
Yeah.
Thank you for today.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
God bless you.
Yeah. Well, I hope something good will happen, and I'm sure it will.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming today. Bye-bye.
Okay.